Good deal. What up?
And we're golden. Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome back to JKMoto.
Episode
Episode 25.
20. Yeah, 25.
Yeah.
Actually, when I was putting that in, I was like, are we on 25? I had to double check. So, but yeah, 25. We're halfway through 100.
Yeah, it's kind of like my age. I've been 35 for about 15 years now.
Okay.
That's how it works, man.
That makes you really old.
No.
Or did you switch? Did you hit 35 earlier than expected?
That would be my way. That would be the way I do things generally. Generally
Classic.
speaking.
Well,
we are back. We've got some things to catch up on. Me and you, off camera, on camera, all those kind of things. But let's get into this episode 25 and roll the intro.
Intro.
Yesterday at one point, I was in sixth.
And we're back.
And we're back. Ready to talk about some motorcycle related things on this another unregularly scheduled podcast.
I mean, it's Monday. It's not that.
Well, for us, it's unscheduled.
Yeah, kind of. It's not that far off, though.
So we got some MotoGP stuff to catch up on. I got a couple things in the motorcycle news I wanted to run by you.
Okay.
And your dream is still true.
Which one?
You know, the dream. From my understanding, you're still going to get the opportunity to be a Busa boy someday.
Yeah, I guess. What?
So, you know,
Do you have news that I don't?
Yes.
Oh, that news.
Yes.
Okay.
Suzuki starts to cut everything back. Everybody kind of cutting everything back. Thousands are a thing of the past. You know, electric bikes are taking over the world. You know, there may or may not be an F-35 powered. Is it an F-35 that was missing?
Yeah, that was the plane.
There may be
in the news.
Yeah, there may be an F-35 powered Busa on the road shortly. Who knows? Depends on if some of them Southern boys, you know, got there with their wrenches quick enough.
Something I seen a good one. It was an F-35 with massive wheels in the front and tiny ones in the back. Carolina squatting down the freeway.
Nice.
Yeah, they actually outlawed that. Not sure if you knew that, but
yeah.
To a degree, you can still have. I think it's up to 4 inches of difference between the front and back. So you can.
Well, I hate to show my age.
Squat.
Yeah, I hate to show my age, but that that one doesn't bother me.
The Carolina squat doesn't bother you?
The outlawing of said item.
Oh, well, yeah. It's doesn't need to exist.
So Busa, I would have thought they would be one of the first ones on the chopping block. They've already outlived their welcome.
So that's an interesting thought because a Busa is a sport touring bike.
Yeah,
that market's bigger. That market is bigger than a super sport market. If you think about it, if you go by like pure technicality, we all know the history of the Busa. We don't need to get into that today, but by pure technicality, a Suzuki Hayabusa is a sport touring motorcycle.
I mean, I guess that you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just saying, you know. So apparently Suzuki's been filing for some patents behind the scene.
Okay.
For variable valve timing systems.
Interesting. Okay.
Based off the patent, it looks like it'll only work on a Busa. That's what the patents are exclusively for the engine that comes in the Busa. So it looks like they have plans to give that thing some more horsepower and still meet whatever emission standards are coming down the road.
All right. Yeah, I know that the latest 2022, I want to say, power definitely went down. Actually, that was kind of everyone's complaint is they're like, you gave us a new Hayabusa and you took the power down. Like, what is this? So that would be kind of cool. I wonder if I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation at this point. Who's actually trying to compete with the electric bike market? Ducati's obviously kind of trying to get their feet wet at least, if not full jump into there and overtake it. So I don't know about you, but I mean, I think you know this about me already, but I kind of just stay out of the electric bike news as much as possible because I don't want to promote it. So I just completely stay out of it.
Well, unfortunately for you, we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Sweet.
Because
that'd probably be good for me.
Well, it seems like every day every day there's a story coming out that there's 5 new electric bikes on the market. And then the next day there's a story that there's 5 electric bikes going away because it didn't work. So we'll see. But I was reading Cycle World News today.
Yeah. Okay. Familiar with.
Yeah, they had an article on, it's a UK based, I believe. So a lot of their stories come out of the UK.
Okay. Yep.
But they were talking about there's already been more electrical fires this year in garages and such that the fire departments have had to respond to than there was all last year. And they're attributing that to electric bikes, scooters, mountain bikes,
Really?
all these electrical,
All the
all
small
these,
ones that people are just leaving them plugged in basically and having
yeah,
issues with them.
yeah,
Okay.
all the lithium powered batteries. I did see, since we're on that subject, you see the thing flying around on Instagram with the Tesla that's just got, it's like parked outside a restaurant. People are in sitting, eating where they can see their car, and there's like fire coming out of the dash, and it says, "What does that check engine light mean?"
I didn't see that one. That's pretty good though. Oh man. That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. The electric bike thing, what's weird about it is that like electric vehicles make sense and for a bike they almost make sense because bikes are so lightweight that I feel like you could actually get your mileage shouldn't change that much between an electric bike and a gasoline one,
Right?
right? Distance wise. So, but at the same time, electric motors are really good at torque. I don't know if torque is necessarily, I don't know, instant torque anyway. I don't know if that's really like the main goal of a motorcycle. I mean, I understand we need torque, right?
Instant torque is
Faster,
always the main
yeah, faster
goal.
off the line, all those great things. But a bike's going to wheel you over if you got too much of that. So,
Yeah, there is a good example of that going around on social media, also
well,
of
apparently
a
you've been a little more active than me because I haven't seen any of these. I have been
yeah,
getting electric bike ads though.
yeah. You'll get more after we talk about it.
True. Yeah, the cell phones, sitting
Yeah,
right here. Oh, look at that.
nice. There was
That's
there was one
legendary.
going around with an electric bike doing a burnout after some race or
Mm-hmm.
attempting to do a burnout, and it
Mm-hmm.
just like torqued itself out of the burnout, wheelied, took off through the people, and then the guy, panic braked it, and then he went into stoppie and then dirt nap
Nice.
in
That's
front of
not bad.
everybody. Poor
Yeah.
guy.
Now, most of the videos I've been seeing this week have been just people with like R1s or Aprilias or Ducatis on dynos and then electric bikes on dynos or people like revving electric bikes for whatever reason that you want to rev it. And you just hear it. It sounded like a little electric drill, like I was in a dentist's office. I was like, that the quiet part for a car, I get that selling point, right? For an electric car, I get the selling point absolutely. On a motorcycle, I don't get that at all.
Yeah, because what's the point if you can't hear it?
Honestly, also like the wind noise isn't going to go away. It's just not like it's going to be nicer on your ears or anything. That's what gets you half the time anyway. So I don't
Well,
know.
well, tell me this for the people at home. Put this in the comments. I want to know if I'm the only one. I'm going to compare this to the first time you hear about like tinnitus.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you thought you were the only one walking around with your ears ringing, and then you realize there's other people that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I tried watching the electric bike Moto E.
Mm-hmm.
I tried watching it again. I haven't watched it for a while. I tried watching it again, and every time I'm watching them electric bikes, you tell me if this is weird. Put it in the comments. I get like an acid taste in my mouth. I can smell the batteries through the TV.
What?
I'm serious. When I
Like
watch those,
actually?
like actually, when I watch those races, I start kind of
Yeah. The all those wireless cameras and signals and all of that. It's all carrying that over to your TV specifically, but only you.
Well, it's in my mind, but I don't know. Have you ever burned a battery or like had a battery burn?
I've smelled electrical burning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I get the sense of that when I'm watching those races. True story.
Well, I better not watch them then. And in the particular workplace that I work in, you smell that smell, it's a really bad day. So
I think that's a bad day, regardless of where you work.
most
Generally.
places, yeah, but we're like very accustomed to that one.
So we talked a few podcasts back. We were talking about how some of the like Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda were getting together on a hydrogen bike.
Yeah, that was a while ago, but yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I mean about one day they say electric's the only way to go. It's the future. Buy in now. You're an idiot if you're not buying in, because absolutely that's the greatest technology ever. And then
Mhm.
in the same breath, you have companies going, maybe there's something else. So,
Yeah.
so how good can it really be? I think they know something we don't know. But along those lines, I can't remember who the manufacturer was, but there's a car that they've been showing off that looks a lot like a Ford Mach E.
Okay.
So, i.e., not very good.
Mhm.
But the back bumper, like
Folds
above the back,
down.
it folds down. It's got the
Mhm.
cartridges. Have you seen that?
Yep. Yeah, I seen that literally last night. I was thinking about mentioning it at some point.
Yeah. Well, those cartridges would fit in a bike,
Yeah, like one of
and
them.
yeah, and the car has what, like six or something on the back,
Mhm. Something like that.
and they said it's like 5 minute change out time or something, and 1,500 kilometers is what they're saying.
That's not
But they
bad. See,
don't.
that's my other biggest issue with electric vehicles in general, but even on a bike too. If I go on a road trip, I drive for 6 hours, I run out of gas, I pull into a gas station, I fill up in 8 to 10 minutes, stop, use the bathroom, grab some food, whatever, right? And then you're on your way again. In an electric vehicle, you got to stop and stay overnight because you're
Well,
done.
let's dig into that a little bit, because
I know it's I know it's
eh,
gotten better, the fast charging, you know.
every time you go to a Walmart though, there's
Mhm.
always that there's always that guy with a cardboard sign that says, need gas, traveling across the country, blah blah blah. I mean, how do you stop and help them get electricity?
You just got to carry your generator around, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, until there's
That's
an
a good point.
infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just like that, and then, my buddy and I were actually talking about this the other night with cars more than motorcycles, but it applies as the batteries. The batteries are not really built to last. And you
Mhm.
look at, especially like with a certain very big electric car company, they build their batteries in the bottom of the car. Those are going to die off 5, 10 years. You got to buy a new car. It's not worth the money to replace. So,
Well, actually, I have some intimate knowledge of said company, as they are, the company you're speaking of.
hmm yeah,
So the battery is basically the frame of the car, right?
right. Yep.
At least in the early days. I don't know if that's still the case, but at least on the higher models, probably not the cheaper models they've been coming out with. But on those higher models, you call them up, they actually remove the body and put it on a new frame when the battery wears out.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
and that was designed into the car. But if it's anything like my RC car, I also won't mention any names because I don't want to bag on them that bad, because I think it just comes with the territory.
hmm
But I dusted off the old RC.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to do that with. Actually, I did that with mine a few months ago. None of my batteries are good. What do you know? So
If I were you, I wouldn't. And here's why. Because
okay.
maybe that's why I got a bad opinion of electric cars, is because of RC cars. But
Hey,
I
that's
I
fair
took
though.
I took it out.
hmm
I drove like two little circles on the asphalt,
hmm
and it blew one of the tires off.
Okay.
And so I go to the tire, and it had actually stripped the aluminum nut. So I dug around, I found another nut for the wheel. I put that on. I did another circle, and it destroyed the front end snap.
Jeez.
So,
Okay.
and I had parts on hand, so I tore that all apart, and I put the hands on, or put the front end all back together. I went and did like two more circles, and it broke a drive shaft, and so I chucked it back in the corner. It's been sitting the last year, and said that's enough of that.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were designed for asphalt, but then again, yeah. I don't know. I did see to get us back on motorcycles. I did see a video of a kind of cool looking RC motorcycle. It was like a little dirt bike, but it actually would keep itself upright but would turn and lean. So it had some sort of like gyro going on in there that would like let it lean with your remote. So that was I was like, all right, this is the first one of those I've seen. That kind of makes sense. It didn't have legs hanging down either. So that's what was weird about it, because usually they'll just have like a leg, right?
Right.
And you can drive in a straight line and turn the wheel, but it doesn't lean. But this one actually, I don't know if it was real or not, but looked kind of cool. So if you can't afford a motorcycle, you can look into that, and it probably cost you about as much as a Ninja 400, and you should just buy that and go to the track. So
After you fix it 72 times.
yeah,
Speaking of Ninja 400s, did you see the new Aprilia 457?
I have it. if if you're in this world and you haven't seen that bike, I don't know how, because yeah, but I have, yeah. Very. I haven't actually looked into it yet because I'm afraid that I'm gonna convince myself that it's cool. Which I'm not saying it's not, but
But it is cool.
right, that's the issue. I was like sitting there. I saw Aprilia unveil, and I saw it, and I was like, "That okay? That looks good. What is it?" And then I saw 457. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And I was like, all right. So we're doing something. We are competing with the other boys."
Yeah, 47 horsepower. My understanding is that class it has to be under 50.
Yeah, that makes sense to a degree.
47 horsepower, pretty good looking bike. You can buy that and drive around like a high school kid with a $5,000 Beamer. You can be like,
Yeah,
look at me, I'm cool.
yeah. The Aprilia name. I wonder, do they have MSRP on it yet?
Yeah, it was about.
I'm gonna fact check it. So if you don't want to say
Okay,
it,
okay, then let me throw it out before you fact check it. I believe it
all
was
right.
65.99, whereas a Kawasaki 400 is like 6,055. And you know how terrible I am with numbers, so if I'm within like 6,000, I should be.
So 5 days ago, so RS 457, right? Yep. Let's see.
Yep.
Revzilla posted 5 days ago between 6,500 and 7,500 in the U.S. market, which is a wide range. 4,25,000, whatever that means. 4 to 4.5, some weird non-American symbol. Speaking of non-American, I wanted to ask the audience to please throw in the comments. I don't need like your address. That's not what I'm asking for here at all. But country, region, if you're not in America, or if you're in America, throw a state if you want, or just say here with the boys. But let us know. I was talking to a dude from Australia the other night. Let him know about the podcast. So I'm just gonna, it made me realize that we forget sometimes because we're over here that there is an entire world that can see these things. So if you're here with us from a different country, let us know in the comments. Throw out where you're from. Give us a shout, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm not getting an actual price in American or in pounds, and those are the only two that I can kind of relate to. So
Well, that makes sense. I think the numbers I've seen were 65.99 euros.
everyone's saying around 6 to 7,000. So yeah, that sounds about right. I want to say that's not bad, but I don't know. I mean, Aprilia, right? RS660 is right around the 12 to 13 mark, and then obviously your RSV4 is sitting well over 20. Sorry, not two. Well over $2,000, which is also true.
Well, Easton, I think I made a mistake.
How so?
Well, I mentioned last week, I'm going to mention it again, but I've been playing on that Crash Toys.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've already tore my perfectly titled 22 apart.
Right.
There's a lot of 22s on there that are crashed, same color scheme and everything. And everyone I'm looking at, I'm like, I got a box of parts that came off of mine.
It would just go perfectly on that.
It would go perfectly on that. And then I go, well, that's stupid. You should have bought the crashed one and made a race bike out of that and
Yeah.
just left your fairings where they were at.
Yeah. I've thought that a lot, that it has been one of my plans for a race bike in the future is to go find a new one that, 500 miles, 1,000 miles, whatever. Preferably past the break-in, but who cares? You just go get it unlocked, take it straight to the track. That doesn't need much beyond cosmetic. I don't mind a subframe, not a big deal. Forks being bent that'd get a little pricey, but subframe being cracked is fine. Even a swing arm, I don't think would be too bad. And then obviously fairings, you're gonna put race fairings on anyway, so not a bad option for sure.
Not a bad option. And I would say to worry less about the forks, because if we're going to get serious about this, we're putting different suspension on the front anyway.
Okay. I'm curious about your thoughts on that because you get electronic suspension there on the BMW.
I will tell you midway through next season.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. We have that to look forward to.
Yeah, maybe I will tell you because I got some kind of weird tire wear going.
Okay.
On that last round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I ate through a Dunlop pretty quick. I don't think it's pressures, but I'm setting everything electronically. So I'll be back at the track on the 30th for a track day here in Utah, and I'm gonna be playing around with those numbers to see if I can get that tire wear to
Go back up.
start acting normal. Yeah.
I guess not go back up, but all right. Yeah, I've been curious because you watch reviews or read reviews or read in the forums, and everyone will tell you that for racing or for track use, the electronic suspension is like stay away from it, right? You'll be way better off with mechanical. But at the same time, for a dude that's a little less versed in suspension, it sounds really nice to just be able to adjust it. Pull back into the pits, be like, okay, I did this. Quick Google, do I want softer or stiffer? And then go into my bike and just change it, and I don't have to do anything. It'll be kind of curious to see, your thoughts on that, using that firsthand. Obviously, you raced the old one, so you do have pretty much back-to-back comparison there, which isn't bad.
Right.
So
So far, it hasn't bothered me. The only concern is that I had some, like I said, some weird tire wear that I was trying to work around.
fair enough.
We'll see. Fresh rubber in the mail again. So
That seems to be a usual these days. Yeah,
yeah,
I've been wondering what the UPS guy thinks of these big boxes he keeps delivering to my front porch. I'm like, little do you know, there's just tires in there.
just tires over and over again.
Yeah.
But
I will say, shout out to motorcycleracetires.com. If you're on the East Coast not using them, go ahead and check them out. They're down in Florida, local Dunlop dealer down there. Quick shipping, always send the right stuff. Never had an issue with them. I think from my standpoint, and they're not like way cheaper, but their prices are generally the best or right along with the best that I've found.
and it's free shipping to you, right?
It's free shipping for if you buy a tire, it's free shipping because it's like anything over $150. So if you're buying a set, you're getting free shipping. It's free taxes for me. So
Gotcha.
yeah, good website, motorcycleracetires.com. They're only Dunlop, but they got slicks, road tires, moto. What is that called? What did I just?
Supermoto.
Supermoto. Thank you. I knew moto was in the name. Yeah, Supermoto tires, whatever else you need. The nice thing with them right now is that you can still get the old style Dunlops. So if you haven't made the swap over yet and you don't want to, I know they still have some in stock. Obviously, it's going to run out because Dunlop's not making it anymore, but they still have some.
I was gonna say, does that mean they're old?
Not the date.
We can't. We got to check the born on date.
Don't bring up the tire date. Oh my goodness.
I should quit complaining. I got a whole stack of. I got a bunch of hard slicks.
Old hard. Yeah.
No, like R8s.
R7, R8, maybe. I don't know. I can look it up.
No, I run the R7s.
Yeah, that's
R3
medium.
soft, R7's medium.
Probably like R10.
I think they're R8s. Here we go. Betting
All right.
again.
All right. Dunlop and Tech slicks. Look, second website that comes up is motorcycleracetires.com.
Yeah, there's probably an algorithm involved at your house.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. R3, R5, R7. R3, R5, R7, R8 is medium plus. They don't have on their website a hard compound. They have a medium plus. Let's get a Dunlop actual.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yep. We got to do some Googling. Sorry for all of you that AR451. Those are the old styles. DunlopMotorcycleTires.com. That sounds like that's not their actual website, but it is. All right, let's see. Dunlop announces release of USA-made racing slicks. 255. Those are way old.
I was going to say, what's that article? 2012?
Yeah. Let's see. Tires by type. Race. Holy cow, this is going to take me a minute.
Yeah.
Race tires.
I'd drop it.
Nope, I got to do it now.
Gosh.
Sorry. We're stuck.
But R8 is a medium plus, it says, huh?
Yep. Yeah, R8 is medium plus.
So I'm pretty sure the ones I have are all R8s, so I should quit whining and burn them up. It's going to be cold, though.
What do you mean cold?
Well, I know you live on the other side of the country where it doesn't get cold, but you know, we're down to
okay, so sorry, real quick, we found it on the Dunlop website. R8 is H hard, but they only offer it in the rear. They don't offer that on the front. The front has a R0, R3, R5, R7. The rear is R3, 5, 7, 8, and then 0, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8 if you're in the 200 range. 180 is only 3 through 8. Interesting. Yeah, so for the 200, which makes sense because that's what they run on the 1000s, and that's what Moto America's running, which is what they developed the tire for. So, yeah. Anyway,
that
tracks.
That tracks. I was just saying, it's getting down to like 40 degrees at night here now. Like
that's pretty good. When does it warm up?
About 10 o'clock.
10? That's not too bad.
I mean, we're still getting into the 70s.
Yeah. I
mean, this weekend we have a high of like 63.
Wow.
And so I'm watching the weather closely because I mean I'm from Utah. I can ride a bike in the cold. Don't get me wrong.
Hang in the cold. Yeah. I know Washington used to scare me because I'd wake up in the morning to 46 degrees and it's foggy and I was like, oh nope, this is gonna be a terrible day. And then somehow at 8:52 the fog clears and it jumps 10 degrees temperature. You're like, all right, we'll be fine. And by the afternoon, you're wishing it was still 50 something. So that's how it usually goes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we talked about this before, but I feel like the 70 to 75 or even 65 to 75 is like that kind of perfect because you're not overheating yourself. Your tires are
Yep.
still going to get plenty warm as long as the sun's out,
Right.
because the sun's going to warm up the track. So if it's not a sunny day, then you kind of need that warmer temperature to help out. I know it was a little weird down in Chuckwalla, our second day in Chuck, when it was all like cloudy, windy, and kind of cold.
Yeah.
It wasn't super cold, but it didn't feel at least to me, didn't feel as grippy as the first
Remember
time.
that
So
that one guy went out there and he had the whole track to himself on the last as the sun was going down.
yeah,
And then at first I was like, that dude's crazy. And then I went, I'm jealous.
maybe he's onto something there.
He's just out there
Yeah.
turning laps by himself.
Yeah, that was also the day that that other lady that was looking at your S1000. She had hers out on the track and laid it down in a. It was on the in lap. We were coming in. They'd thrown the checkered flag, and right in
Yeah.
front of me. All of a sudden, there's this S1000 is just like, nah, not today, and just laid over. So
Yeah, it was right in front of you, and I went past it also. Not because I was behind you or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
that never
excited to post
happens.
these lap times.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That's going to be exciting, right?
That'll be good. Yeah, we got 2 days in Carolina and then 3 days in Arizona. I think in Arizona we'll definitely be able to hop on
So, have you rode the Yamaha?
Nothing more than around the neighborhood.
Why not?
Because I haven't.
How are you
registered
supposed
it.
to report back if you don't go drive that ugly little thing?
I don't know. I did notice the rear tire is a 160.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that.
So I was thinking about putting your Q5 on it, and then I was like, well, I don't know. But I looked at it. I haven't measured yet, but I looked at it, and it looks like it'll fit. I might have to take the chain guard off, but I'm pretty sure it'll fit in the swing arm. So no worries there. Which that'll be kind of interesting because that's a lot. Like that's a big difference. Going from a 180 to a 200 is a big difference. 160 to a 180 is a big difference. So could change the entire.
Well, did you hear that information probably hasn't trickled down to you because, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. But a certain Wera racer that we know or that I know from Georgia, former Wera racer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He may show up and take my Gixxer for a spin.
All right.
Maybe show us how to do it. It's in his calendar, if he's listening. Okay. It's in his calendar, but I'm not going to remind him past this.
Sure. All right. Yeah. All right. No, that'd be cool. It'd be exciting. That'll be, actually, that would be really cool because we think that your Gixxer is still just a little slower than mine. So you get former Wera racer, has some racing experience.
And a Gixxer rider.
And he rode Gixxers before. Get him out on yours compared to mine, compared to you on yours, compared to me on yours, compared to you on mine, compared to him on mine. I don't know. We could do anything. So that would be pretty sweet.
We'll see what happens.
Not bad.
We'll see what happens. So we didn't get to talk about the MotoGP race.
Yeah, we did talk about the sprint, but not the race. That's true.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about the race, and I know that's already happened for everybody that's listening, so they probably don't want to hear it. But I'd like to at least touch on, what do you think about those points, those championship points?
They're getting mighty spicy out there.
I don't know. Getting a little manageable for the Jorge Martin, huh?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely within. Like there have been a lot of seasons in the past where at this point we have a world champion crowned.
Yep.
And we are not there, nor anywhere near that.
Going into unknown territory this week because I lost that bet apparently.
Yep, they have landed. In fact, I was on their homepage. They have landed in India, and MotoGP racers are playing MotoGP 23 on their game console to try and learn the track.
Yeah, like crazy. That's been really prominent. Everybody.
So all of that like stuff we talk about with how video games is the only experience of the track we have. Apparently, professional racers also do that. So maybe we're onto something.
Well, now I've got a story because so I might have read this wrong. I'll put my disclaimer out there now for this, but if I understood it correctly, Josh Herron on his Instagram was trying to see if anybody wanted to join his lounge on Ride 5.
Okay. Yeah.
He said he had just downloaded Ride 5 and he was, I think he said Coda. He was racing Coda on it, Circuit of the Americas.
Yep.
And he was second in the world.
What the? Okay.
I'm pretty sure he said he was second in the world currently. And so if that's true, if I didn't just dream that, if I'm not making that up, if he's second in the world, it had me walking around kind of daydreaming about that, thinking you would think, I don't care, if Pecco Bagnaia jumps on a PlayStation or whatever, I wouldn't expect him to be able to race a motorcycle game any better than some, gamer nerd.
Yeah.
I would assume the gamer nerd would smoke him.
Yeah, you would think. If the gamer guy is playing racing games a lot.
Right.
like there's a lot of different types of video games out there, but
And granted, Josh Herron is a gamer, from what I understand, but still, if he's second in the world on that track in that game,
there's got to
something is
be
correlating.
yeah, there's got to be well, and it kind of makes sense because the games claim to have come so far, which they definitely have, where like you can lean the bike, you can move the body around and all this stuff, and so if you set it to be able to do whatever you want, and then you have personal experience, and you pick a bike that you have personal experience on, like even down to where like you're playing some of the car racing games these days, you can adjust your tire pressure and your arrow angle and all of that, whatever.
Right.
Even down to that, I mean, he's just there in Texas racing, so he has data in his head, you know? Like,
I
does
mean,
that
I
correlate?
get it, but I don't get it.
I don't know. But, I mean, as far as kinda what I've mentioned before, where the only experience I have with that racetrack is seeing it on a video game, I do think that is still the closest to what it looks like through your helmet.
I'll agree with that.
Out of, like, anything you could watch on a screen, obviously, without going and doing it, I think the video game's probably the closest to, and it's gonna give you a better I'd say with elevation more than anything else, and, like, what your viewpoint will actually be, which is what matters. Because like, Thunder Hill, right? The elevation in Thunder Hill is insane. Blind turns all over the place. Well, there's 2 specific spots, and elevation changes everywhere. You look at the map, you're not gonna see that at all. You watch a video on YouTube, a guy who's got his GoPro on his helmet or his GoPro right behind his windshield, and it's like, kind of, but not
Right.
really. But if you go play that on a video game, it's gonna give you that elevation, and you can tell, and you can kinda see that, so
That's why I haven't followed your lead and got Ride 5 yet.
because
Because they added, so the difference between, we're a video game podcast now. So
yeah,
the
stick
difference between
around.
Ride 4 and Ride 5, I don't know how much of the controls or the reality or this kind of stuff's changed, but they added one track. They added like one track in the Americas, one track in Asia, one track in Europe.
Mhm.
The rest of the tracks are all the same. And I went to the game because I was looking for Carolina Motorsports Park,
Okay.
and it ain't on there. So I said, if it's on 5, I'm buying it right now. Not on 5 either.
No. No, I'm actually pretty surprised UMC was on there because there's not a big list. So,
World class.
yeah. No, it is. It could be. Could host. Has
World
before.
class.
Has before. I mean, you heard even Ken Hill back way back talking about how the perimeter is a very, Euro style, great track, super fun. It's not if you haven't been to UMC, like it's worth it. Hopefully it as a facility brings itself back up. But as far as like layout, it's a super fun track to ride. And I haven't even ridden the East by itself yet. So I have half the East and all the West now.
I'll be there on the West again. It's 139s or bust.
There you go. Well, yeah, back to MotoGP, the race. Good old Danny Pedrosa taking fourth again. Really good weekend. Most of the articles I've seen this week have been does KTM regret not having Danny actually race? Or how is a
Well,
man this old still doing this well?
yeah, one of the announcers asked him if he'd be willing to, if KTM wanted him, if he'd be willing to go back to ride, and he's like, they already have 5 riders and 4 bikes, so
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
kind of a silly question. But then I heard some other podcasts talking about, well, what if wouldn't they be happier if they had Danny on the bike instead of Jack Miller? And let me just say, Jack Miller's out there racing every race.
Mm-hmm.
Danny is, not to take anything away from him, but the guy's cherry picking the tracks he wants.
Yeah.
And I will also say that he was on the test bike with the new mods this week or last week. He was on the fancy bike, and who knows how good that bike is compared to the ones the other guys are riding.
Yeah.
Because, which we'll get into in a minute, but at testing, Jack Miller was half a second faster than he was in qualifying consistently on that new bike.
Right. Which could make a difference. So, yeah, no, I'm not here to say that Danny should be there or shouldn't be there, but that is what all the articles are saying.
There's fun to watch him though. Fun to watch him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great having him back out there. Or I mean, he's never not been back out there, but yeah, I really think he was only there because it was a test weekend. I mean, immediately the day after they're out there testing again, so they can get more data having him do the full race weekend on that bike, and that only makes them be able to set it up even better for their riders on the actual test day. So,
Well, since we've fully moved into that subject, what'd you think of the changes
on the KTM?
on any of them? So Honda shows up with a giant stretched Ducati replica, as you like to put it. And it
Basically.
was the handlebars are higher, or the clip-ons are higher. And from the other bike, they've moved it up, and it's forcing the
Okay.
rider to put their butt further back.
Okay.
And they're saying it's going to put more weight on the rear tire, is what they're trying to achieve.
Right. Which is what the riders have been asking for. That's the biggest complaint I've seen.
Yeah, but all the riders came back and said the bike, including Mark, said the bike is completely different, but it has all the same problem.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, from the sound of it, he said, if this is a brand new bike, which it feels like it is, that's great, but we still have a long way to go. And then he did finally come out and say that he will make a decision in Japan. So at the race, or right after Monday, he said either Japan or India. He has recently said in Japan. He wants to ride India first, and he will make his decision in Japan. So it's interesting because I don't know, but I still don't have any official info. No one does on if he has a decision to make, but he's saying he'll make a decision. So it sounds like he's probably got some under the table offers from some places. That would
Do
be
you
my
want to hear my
guess.
rumor?
Yeah. What's your rumor?
This is the one I'm just making up.
Okay.
This is where my head's at, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason the Grassini bike hasn't been filled yet,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't told Gigi he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And in the news, Fabio or Morbidelli.
Okay. Yep.
Morbidelli got the Pramac bike today.
Indeed. He did.
Yep. So he will be next to Jorge Martin next year on that bike. So that shoe is dropped because before they had Pramac and Grassini both sitting there open, and it's just starting to feel more and more like they're waiting. Everybody's waiting for Mark to say where he's going, and then those seats will fill.
Yeah.
But Morbidelli took Pramac, which makes sense because if my sources tell me that I think Repsol included, but Polar Bear, Repsol, Red Bull, all I'm not sure about. Don't quote me on the Repsol one, but his big sponsors have already said they'll follow him if he goes somewhere.
Okay.
So if he was to go to Grassini, he'll pull big money.
Yep.
Grassini would have a hard time giving. Ducati's already given everybody on the grid 2023 bikes, 2024 bikes. They're giving everybody current bikes.
Right.
So Morbidelli ain't going to get one. He's going to be lucky to get a 23 probably. But Bezzecchi, that argument's still going. But you would think they'll want to give Bezzecchi a current bike. They'll want to give Jorge Martin a current bike. Grassini's kind of out that way. But if him and Alex, who both have their same management company, they're co-owners of the management company, they've got a lot of similar sponsors and stuff that carry over for the brothers. Grassini is a good fit, I think. Grassini's a good fit if he can get out of his contract. But he has said that he has three. He has option A, option B, option C.
That's true.
And he doesn't elaborate on those. So I think disregard the order because I don't know what he wants. And I think saying you have A, B, and C is kind of risky because if it gets out that Grassini's your option C, then maybe they don't want you anymore if you were their third choice.
Right.
So maybe there's not an order on it, right? There's just a better way to say it is there's three options on the table. He doesn't know which one he's going to take. One would be staying with Honda.
Obviously. Yep.
Two would be going to Grassini. But nobody ever says option 3.
True.
Pramac is full now. So anybody who thought Pramac was that third option?
Pramac and VR46, that wasn't necessarily ever on the table, but...
Right. I think if Honda won't let him out, because Honda hasn't let him out, he could sit out a season.
Interesting. Okay.
So, I mean, that's on the table for him. He could just say, okay, I ain't playing anymore. Because he's obviously riding like a man that doesn't want to get hurt for whatever he does next year.
Right.
So I don't think he'll do that, but that is an option. He could sit out for a year. The other option I'm contemplating is what if he's over there talking to Aprilia?
That's where my head was.
And Aprilia's saying, hey, we're giving Aleix one more year. He wants one more year. And then he's retiring for sure. And Mark takes Aleix's seat.
It's definitely possible, yeah. So I've been thinking about Mark on and Aprilia basically since he got back from his wreck. Ever since Aprilia started to kind of like pick up the pace and have pretty good bikes. Who knows if he'd be a good fit for it, But but then they're sticking with nope, we're good. Elation and Maverick, old Top Gun, we're sticking with them. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that he could just do another year at Honda and just
Yeah.
refuse to do anything for him. Look
And
terrible.
and for the listeners, that's none of that's based in reality. That's just me talking.
Yeah, yeah. What we know that has been confirmed is that he has said he has 3 options. What those are, most people would assume. I think most people would assume it's KTM, Ducati, or stick at Honda. The
But
sitting
how's
out is an interesting one.
so since every rumor's been thrown out, one of the other rumors you mentioned KTM, and I instantly
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say, but they already have too many riders.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another rumor going around that if Mark comes into play with KTM, they can put enough pressure on Dorna to force him to let him bring the 2 more bikes on.
Possibly.
And then you put Mark and Pedro together on Team Husky.
That would be interesting. Hmm. Yeah, and if he's bringing sponsors over, then that gives a plenty of yeah, interesting.
He's
So
already Red Bull, so
yeah,
it fits.
yeah, that's what from the beginning the KTM kind of made the most sense to me because he's been Ducati's biggest rivalry for so long. I don't know. It feels almost cheap. So I'll come out and say it like we've said since the beginning. I think the man's got talent. I think it's still there. I think it might not be quite what it was, but I also think if you put him on a similar bike, he'd at least be contending, right? Put him in the top
Right.
5 for sure. This past weekend, he delivered a top 7 both the sprint and the race.
Yeah, 7th in the race, maybe top 10 in the sprint. I don't know. It was a better showing for sure.
Yeah, right. It moved up a little bit, did better. Oh yeah, you're right. 10th exactly in the sprint.
Yes. You hear
So
that at home?
if he can do that on a bike that no one else can get above 15th on, then maybe he can do something. We'll see how terrible the bike actually is next year when Joanne Zarco heads over there. I'm kind of expecting him to come in and just ride the thing like crazy randomly at the end of every race and make it back up into third, but only do that for like 6 races total. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But putting him on a Ducati just never made sense to me.
Right. Well,
It would be interesting to see KTM bring another team in. We kind of talked about that, I think, at the beginning of the season, and then Dorna basically said, "Nope, you're not doing it. No way." I would love to see him go to an Aprilia because I think Aprilia's got a package. I don't think they have the riders. They've got good riders. I'll give the guys have talent, but they're just not consistent enough.
yeah, I think Dorna would sleep better at night if Gracini or somebody became the satellite team for Yamaha
Yeah,
or VR46 or somebody. And I think that's why they're holding on so hard is because if KTM has 6 bikes and Ducati has
8.
8,
Yeah,
then those 2 teams can basically put Dorna over barrel and tell them this is what we want to do going forward.
is it 8 or 10?
It's not 10. Gracini, Premac, VR46,
Yeah,
and
yeah, 8,
Factory.
8. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I get where Dorna's coming from. It is interesting that Honda and Yamaha are the last 2 Japanese bikes hanging on. Honda's still got a satellite team. Yamaha said nope, can't do that anymore, and Yamaha's really kind of just fallen off since then. And then Honda is. I mean, there's rumors all over that they're done. They're going to leave MotoGP after this year. Blah 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 blah, and all of that. But obviously, their performance fell off a little bit. If they can pick
Right.
that back up, if for somehow over the winter they can come up with a bike, Mark chooses option whatever led him to Honda, and they come back next year with a vengeance, then that looks great. That looks great for Dorna because we've still got Japanese bikes in the market. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to turn into a Euro competition. KTM's going to try and come in with 2 more teams probably, and Aprilia, why not?
Well, it's fine if it turns into a Euro competition as long as it's not just those 2. I mean,
Yeah.
bring in the Beamers
As always, as always,
and bring in Triumph, bring in BMW, spread this out,
yeah,
put Ducati back to 4 teams. I mean, I know
2
it's a
teams.
lot of money and a huge commitment for companies. So, I mean, if Dorna could do that, they would do that. They would be happy to have it that way. I mean, they're not doing what they're doing because they want to; it's because they
Right.
have to.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the hard part is that Triumph doesn't have a MotoGP bike. BMW doesn't have a MotoGP bike. They don't make any of that. They're not doing that, right? So all these other companies have been doing it or have done it before at least, and so they kind of know where to start.
Well,
it would
everybody's got
be
to start somewhere.
yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere, but you got to bring in a sponsor for BMW because BMW is not just going to pay for that because they get plenty of motorcycle sales without it. In fact, I'd say they probably get a little more because
They'll get sponsors.
who you?
Bonovo come with them. Listen, I don't want to. We have to go back to MotoGP, but I was trying not to go off on a tangent, but we have to go off on a tangent. What about Garrett Gerloff? Garrett Gerloff got the pole,
Mm-hmm.
his first pole ever. He's got that fancy watch.
Yeah.
He got the Tissot,
Tissot.
that, yeah, that
Tissot.
one. He got
Yeah.
that watch,
Is
and
that
then he
the
had
same for?
then he had 2 5th-place finishes.
Yeah. So I cheated last week and I looked it up while we were filming and I kept my mouth shut for you. But
Well, I appreciate that because that was awesome. Congratulations to Garrett. That was a good showing. Hopefully, he can keep that ball rolling. I mean,
keep it
he
going.
seems to be getting better all year.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is a brand new bike too, right? So brand new bike for BMW,
him.
brand new bike for him. So yeah, hopefully they can get some data going and make the wings bigger next year and be even better, you know?
And then, unlike you, I've been working so hard to find BSB. For
British
anybody
Superbike.
that's a BSB fan or English listeners, BSB, I'm trying to find it. They don't allow me to watch it. And so if you go to YouTube, like Moto
Mm-hmm.
America, of course, you can find the whole race on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't find the BSB race in its entirety, just highlights.
Hmm.
If somebody knows a way, let me know because I would love to watch them. I watched as much as I could of last week's race
Mm-hmm.
and I learned something new for us rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that BSB has they have like a follow car like F1?
Okay.
So rather than having a red flag or something,
Mm-hmm.
they have a safety car jumps out on track and they follow the car around.
Oh, to go out. Okay.
No,
Because I mean,
like
MotoGP has a safety car.
no. So in F1, here
Uh
I'll
huh.
catch you up. In F1, if a car crashes and it's like half on the track, they don't
Uh
red
huh.
flag and have everybody come back to the paddock. They have a safety car come
Okay.
out,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has to slow down and follow that safety car while they're cleaning up the mess.
Right.
That's how BSB does the bikes,
Interesting.
at least on what I was watching. And so it was extra interesting because the rule is if the safety car is out, you can't pass anybody,
Yep.
which
Okay.
makes perfect sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as in F1, that's when the games start getting played because when you know the safety car is getting ready to come off, the safety car is going at a pretty good clip. The bikes are still moving probably faster than I can go.
Yeah.
And
Right.
but when the safety car starts getting off, they start playing games. This happens in F1 all the time, and NASCAR does it. But
Yep.
they'll slow down the lead car, the lead bike. They'll slow down and try to like ball the whole pack up,
Mm-hmm.
and then
So
they
they can just
floor it.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, they try to time it. Well, the guy in the lead on the lead motorcycle did that,
Hmm.
and he did it excessively, in
Okay.
my American opinion,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had bikes like locking up behind him because he just all of a sudden slowed way down. The car's going down the straight, getting ready to come off, and he just slowed way down. Everybody knows they can't pass him,
Right.
so they all start slamming on the brakes and it starts checking up all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
And one bike from like 6th place. There was nothing he could do. He just passed the whole field, like
Yeah.
went all the way out to the lead and then veered over and pulled to the side so that they could all go to
Right.
let him back in. And I think that poor bugger got a penalty.
Hmm.
And if you watched it, it was interesting because again, I try to follow like if BMW is winning over there, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But when you can't sit down and watch the race, it's hard to care enough to follow along.
Right.
Anyway, I've been watching since we talked about it a few weeks back. I've been trying to watch what I can watch, and there's some exciting racing over there, man. Them guys are bar bangers. They're pretty
Yeah.
rough on each other.
Well, maybe that'll be our homework for next year / homework for the listeners. Anyone that isn't here in America or anyone that is that watches it, BSB, and I would say Australian Superbike, because I mean, if we can fill every weekend with racing, like why not?
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll kind of pick and choose depending on the weekend, kind of like we already do between MotoGP and Moto America. Only going to cover what we want because, well, we're allowed to. But I would gladly watch all of that. So let
So the
us know.
moral of that whole tangent was go Garrett.
Go Garrett, go BMW, come back to MotoGP. BMW should be in MotoGP, and we're back.
And we're back. So in MotoGP, I just want to finish up on the test
Mm-hmm.
or talking about that. So Mark was not happy. None of the Honda
Right. Yep.
riders seemed
Yep.
happy, but there's been a switch. You know, you got to watch the telltale signs. And Joanne Mears all of a sudden doing the apology tour saying that he's committed to Honda.
Mm-hmm.
That means he couldn't get a job anywhere else, which he just needs to keep his ride
Yep.
one way or the other. And then, but Yamaha came out with some pretty big changes. They had some big aero changes.
I was very happy to see the front of the Yamaha
Yeah.
because it didn't look like anything else. I was like, hey, that looks not like a Yamaha anymore, but it also doesn't look like a Ducati, so it looks different from everything else on the track. Yeah, I was pretty excited to see that. I didn't follow that because the news has been so clogged up with Mark. That's all anyone wants to freaking talk about. So I didn't catch Fabio's anything really.
Well, good. I'll help you.
All
Fabio
right,
said the bike sucked.
good. Okay, yeah.
Yamaha, their chief guy came out and said how happy he was with the improvements they'd made, and this is better, this is better, this is better. And then they interviewed Fabio, and he's like, "It sucks." So
Okay, that's good.
okay, but
That's good.
Aprilia worked on some things too, which was just funny to me. Do you know what Aprilia's biggest thing they worked on was?
Mm-mm.
They had some kind of device that made it so they didn't have to let the clutch out on the starts.
Okay.
It's like an automatic takeoff device or something.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Whatever. But I just laugh because that's only for one person.
Yeah.
They're like, Top Gun, we think you can race most days, but you cannot start. You
So
cannot.
here you go. You don't even have to do anything. You just press a
We've
button.
done everything we can. What does Aprilia need to focus on? An automatic transmission for Top Gun.
Yeah. Maybe it's literally just like they just program it per track wherever you start. This will get you to the first corner. This will get you to your braking point. You hit this button and floor it, and just it reads the light for you. There's a camera on the front of the bike. It reads the light.
Exactly. You went there. That's one of the things that keeps coming up is they're like, why hasn't anybody tried to just time a camera to the lights? And then
At the end of the day,
the rider just holds it floored and it
yeah,
goes when the light shuts off. But you can't do that. It starts
at
taking
the
more skill out of it.
at the end of the day that goes away is the day that all racing across the board, no matter where you are, to include not even cars. I don't care what you're racing. The day that they have automatic start is the day that racing is done.
If it was a good idea, drag racing would have done it a long time ago, probably.
Yeah, because at that point you are literally just on. Like that is the one thing that every racing type shares is from the start. Whoever jumps the line the quickest, whatever, like that reaction time, to be a good racer, you have to have that.
Devil's advocate.
What?
When them high speed cars are running out of the salt flats,
Mm-hmm.
you never went out and watched that, have you?
Not live.
I'll take you out there sometime.
Setting land speed records?
Yeah,
That's not racing.
yes, it is.
Nope.
Racing the clock.
I want to call it racing. No, I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but I want to call it racing.
All right,
I would also say
that's
that.
an argument I now have to contemplate. So if somebody wants to leave comments about that, feel free.
All right. Yeah, because I would argue, just to dwindle on that for a second. Not dwindle, but dwell on that for a second. I would argue that the salt flats and land speed records is about the machine, and not about the person operating it.
Yes, it is. Is drag racing about the machine or the driver, or both?
Both.
And MotoGP is obviously both.
Yeah.
Well, you'd think it doesn't take talent to drive a land speed car?
I'm not saying that. Not saying it doesn't take talent, but I wouldn't put it as a measure of the talent of the driver.
As much.
Near as much, yeah.
So when they take off, like I said, since you've never been out there, I'll let you know. First time I went out there with a drag racing background, right, I was really excited to see that. So
right.
My favorite place to sit at a drag strip is as close to the start as possible because that's where the violence happens. That's where the
noise,
the action. I mean, it's cool to see them at the end too, but the best seats are like watching them take off up front.
Right. Yep.
So you go out to the salt flats and there's bleachers set up out there generally, like at the 2-3 mile mark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who needs to go there? I want to watch these guys start. So they take these cars. It really doesn't matter what the class is, but the salt is a slick surface, right? It's a somewhat slick surface compared to like asphalt.
Yep.
They have a push vehicle. So they'll have those big speed cars. They'll have like a full size truck with a wooden bumper built on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll
I've seen
actually
those.
start the speed of the cars are geared so high they can barely, maybe some of them can't take off on their own power.
Right. They
So
have to be going fast enough for the first gear before they ever even start going.
yeah, so they'll just be in neutral. The push car will come up and it'll push them up to like 100 miles an hour in a lot of those classes.
Jeez.
The truck itself will get them to 100 miles an hour, which might be a mile and a half up the track.
Right.
And then you'll hear the car like actually put it in gear, and then they'll boom under power and they'll start pulling off the vehicle, and then they'll leave. And so it's cool for about 5 minutes, and then you're like, well, this is boring, and you have to drive 3 miles down to the bleachers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, I'll stick to it. I'll stick to my whole argument I made there. You take away that small factor of racing, and racing's over. Not that the rest of it doesn't matter, but that would be the last thing.
Well, let's do this. I know you have some restrictions, so when, I'm not going to say if, but when, this podcast is still going in like say 2.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
we'll take some bikes out there, and me and you will run a high speed record.
Okay, down for that.
I mean, I'm not saying we'll get the record. We'll go pick a class. There's a class for everything out there.
Yeah.
But you can run motorcycles out there too. We might as well go.
We're in a turbo booski.
No, we'll go see what the top speed is on the YZ6R.
FC6R, yeah. All right. We can do that.
FC6R.
Or the sport, dude, we could take our Sportsters out there.
Yeah, see?
You would need the 3 miles.
No.
Did
I would
tell
need
you
1 mile and then it would be maxed out, and then
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Did I tell you about the first time I took my Sportster to 100 miles an hour?
no.
Yeah, of course, there was no speed limit on this road that I was on.
In
it was
Mexico.
down in Mexico or something like that. But I was like, got over the Mexican border, and I was like, all right, well, it's time. Let's see if what it takes. And so I gave it the onion. I think I downshifted in a third. I let her go, and I was like, I got no RPM indication, so I'm like, I don't really know when to shift. Normally, I just kind of like shift or don't. You just chill. On the freeway, you're always looking for another gear on those things. You only get the 5, and little 1200 over 60 miles an hour just seems to go crazy. So, yeah, I started going, and I'm seeing it go up like 30, 60, 70, 80. But I swear, from 85 to 100 just took double the time of 0 to 60. Like, it was, it just didn't want to go.
You probably did that on those tires you bought in Mexico also, huh?
Yeah.
The ones that had the weather cracks, so you could see like the wires sticking through and stuff.
The ones that were on the bike. It wasn't that bad. They were bad, but they weren't that bad.
They weren't that good either.
No, they were just flat. The back tire was basically a car tire. It was flat back there.
Homemade slicks.
Yeah, basically,
Perfect.
That would be kind of interesting, actually, taking a Sportster for a land speed record. Probably blow it up on accident.
Well, I'm game.
All right.
That's one thing that's kind of funny about those is, I mean, I've spent some time out there, and not to take anything away from it, but it seems to me that you're able to say, okay, I have a Geo Metro with pink hubcaps, and I'm going to be the fastest 3-cylinder Geo Metro with pink hubcaps in the world. And you can go get that record. Like a lot of the cars you see out there, they got like 15 world records on the side of them.
And it's a Toyota Camry.
Yeah, I'm like, how can that even be? But
the fastest Toyota Camry that also ran air conditioning.
Yes, stuff like that. But there's some really cool motorcycles out there. You see some of that's where the Fastest Indian went, right?
Yep, indeed.
The movie The Fastest Indian, but you see there's a lot of like nostalgia out there at Speed Weeks. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of old, lead sleds, all kinds of cool cars out there. But the motorcycles, there's a lot of old ones too. And you got a lot of like single cylinder, small displacement with speed bubbles.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The actual bullet bikes.
Yeah.
of back in the day. Yeah, I remember there was a Top Gear episode where they went out to the salt flats. It might have been the Grand Tour, but Richard Hammond took a Challenger out there,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me question the salt flats people. So if you're a salt flats person, I'm not trying to say anything crazy. I'm just questioning a little bit because they had him duct tape his grill up so no air could get through.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, it's better. You want to run it hot, you'll go faster that way. And he went out and did his run, and then like the camera like pans to him afterward, like while they're like talking about it or whatever, and he's just over there like ripping the tape off, and he's just like breathe, opens the hood and just lets it like because I don't know what the temperature got to, and that was like years ago when I saw that, but he was
Just
just
for
like, "There's no,
aerodynamics.
yeah, sure."
But
Well, you don't lift the car up.
right, but I don't know. There's a formula for that, but once you start getting over like that 100-mile-an-hour mark, the pressure on the car starts to grow exponentially, or whatever you're trying to push through the wind.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely been some big crazy crashes out there where like cars they look like they're perfectly fine sitting at 220 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden they're just like a leaf in the wind, gone.
Well,
Get the wrong.
when I've been out there, it's been on a motorcycle,
Hmm.
and obviously when you got to drive 3 miles to get to the bleachers, you're on the salt,
Right.
and it's almost like Play-Doh. It's like dried Play-Doh when it starts getting kind of crystallized.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
That's
Weird.
what it's like,
Weird.
and then you
Weird.
got to go immediately to a car wash and get that stuff off,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you won't have a bike in the morning.
Yep.
Just real quick, I got to go back to MotoGP one time.
Cool.
Did they all have the ugly exhaust? Like most of the bikes have the ugly exhaust that kicks up high.
Yeah, I did kind of notice that. They're all coming in a little, and they almost look skinnier.
Yeah, they're saying they're trying to raise the weight because having the weight slung higher on the bike keeps it from wheeling. So that's what they're playing with. They're trying to put the weight in a different spot on the bike.
Interesting. And their titanium super lightweight exhaust does that for them.
I mean, it's a game of millimeters.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, yeah, to close out MotoGP, we've got this coming weekend. We'll be in India.
And
Week
nobody's
after-
been there.
Nobody has been
That's
there.
why they're playing the video games, as mentioned earlier. But that should make an even playing field for Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia.
It should. They're on the same bike. Should, yeah, honestly, even playing field across the board, right? It should be a great weekend to figure out who your best readers are, right? Like even your rookies should be able to kind of, depending on how good they are, right? I mean, everybody has a chance to go to a new track and read it for the first time, but this is everyone all at the same time, same spot. So it'll be kind of cool to see who really strides, especially qualifying. Right? I think that's what I'm most excited for, is to see whatever laps we get are going to be lap records. So it'd be kind of cool to see that come into play. Unfortunately, you have nothing to compare it to, but be cool. India, week after that, Japan. We started the world tour this week. That's what's going on here. So India, Japan, and then Mandalika, and then Australia, and then Thailand, and then Sepang, and then Qatar, and then we finish it off in Valencia. So going all the way to the end of November this year, which is pretty normal. But yep, so we're starting the World Tour portion of the MotoGP season. Keep an eye out. Australia, we're coming for you here soon. Yeah, should be interesting. India will be, I think it'll be a good weekend. So pretty excited.
Fun race to watch. I'm excited.
So what else we got coming up?
My mind is on 139s in the track day, and then the two after that.
Sweet. Yeah, that's about where I'm at. You said you're on the 30th of September.
Yep.
Then we'll be 14th and 15th of October out at Carolina Motorsports Park. So if you're in the area and you're going, come say hi. We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll have the alphabet soup there, and if you come, you can drive it.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, yep.
The Yamaha. Yeah, if you want to come out, feel free to drive it.
Yeah, I was very confused. I was like, what do you mean alphabet soup? But I got you. All right. Yeah, I'll throw that. I'll probably throw that 180 on there in a little bit. I haven't gotten around to it yet because I don't want to figure out how to take that tire off.
Yeah,
It's got the like, well, yeah, not the tire, the wheel is what I meant. But it's got the like chain tensioners with the little like kind of wing nut thing on the back.
Yeah,
Like sticks out the back of it.
That's a high class motorcycle. Dirt bike grips.
Yep.
Wing nut chain tensioner.
It's
and
not
the forks
actually
are on backwards. Like somebody's put the forks on wrong.
Yeah, upside down, actually. Yeah, it's really cool.
And the mirrors, did you tighten the mirror up?
No, not yet.
Those mirrors look like they were stolen off of a Bugatti.
What do you mean? They look more like the Amazon motorcycle mirror. that you would get for a sport bike for $15.
No, I don't know. They look like a, what is it? How do you say, Koenigsegg? How do you,
Koenigsegg, yeah.
yeah, that car. It looks like mirrors off of
Koenigsegg.
them.
Koenigsegg, yeah.
Holy, it's just the pictures
It's
you've
because the
sent me.
bike is
I've not
the
seen
bike.
this bike in real life.
Right. So you'll have to, yeah. I mean, your opinion might change, might not, might get worse. Who knows? When you get here, but it's
Easton says
because,
he'll adjust the seat for anybody that wants to come out.
yeah, like an inch. It makes a big difference. But I can move the seat pretty easy. Kind of a cool feature. That's going in the review when we finally get around to it.
Yeah, I forgot. I do have a problem.
What?
My bike's an inch taller than it used to be.
The 22?
Yeah, that Alpha Racing seat.
Yeah.
It's much smaller, so I can't move around. Like the
Okay.
actual, but it's like literally an inch taller. So I'm on top of the bike now.
Actually,
Yeah, like just how it goes. It's just taller than the old one. So now
that's
I'm
weird.
sitting up and I can barely tiptoe
That's funny.
without boots on, right? But I mean, the boots will give me a little more maybe, but
I've seen a dude do a track day that could not put both feet on the ground. So you'll figure it out. He'll be standing
well,
next to the bike at the start.
I'm not saying I can't do that. I just hope it didn't like disrupt my mojo.
Just do the one leg, right? Left leg on the foot peg, right leg on the ground.
Not
And you
that
just,
mojo. I'm not worried about starting and stopping. I'm worried about the actual cornering.
oh, that should be easier.
We're gonna find out. I'll let you know.
I think I'll tell you on the Aprilia, like my toes on the ground is the same, but I sit more above the bike, and it felt a little weird at first on the road, but on the racetrack it felt amazing. You have a lot more weight to like kind of tip over, basically.
Well, I don't have that same problem that you have.
Right, but
I don't have
everyone,
any problem getting my weight over.
if you move up, it's only more, so it takes less input, which means you can put more, you get more output for the same input.
Understood, but I need to get off the bike further, not less.
So to get off the bike further,
Well,
problem solved.
That requires other things.
All right. Well, anyway, Carolina Motorsports Park, October, and then at the end of October, got a sweet trip down to Podium Club. That'll be a good time. I haven't heard from anyone what bikes they want there yet, so still waiting.
Yeah, come on, people. All right, until next week.
Yeah, I think so. I think that'll finish this up. Make sure you go check out India. If not, you can catch the spoilers here. Episodes come out every Wednesday. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Till next time.